long before humanity discovered fire, it learned to fear the sky. A crack, then silence, then a light that splits the world in two. For thousands of years, in every language, on every continent, humankind asked the same question: who is doing this? In the Mediterranean, in the shadow of marble columns, they gave that sound a name: Zeus. In the frozen fjords of the north, a people forged in iron and blood met the same sound with a different face: Thor. And on the breathless plains of India, a civilization waiting on the monsoon crowned the Lord of the Sky with their most magnificent title, Indra. But how did these civilizations, each unaware of the others, take such different paths to describe the very same fear? Today, we put the lords of sky and lightning side by side. Zeus didn't rise to the sky on raw power alone. He rose through rebellion. He was the son who overthrew his father Cronus and freed his siblings from the prison of the Titans. But the victory that carried him to the summit brought a shadow with it, because Zeus knew something. However a father falls, a son can fall the same way. That paranoia became the hidden engine of his reign. Every prophecy, every whisper echoed in his ears like a threat to the throne. And in the loneliness of power, Zeus surrendered to another weakness: a hunger with no boundaries. His countless affairs with mortals and goddesses alike tore jealous storms through Olympus, sometimes met by Hera's wrath, sometimes producing chains of legend involving children born into the mortal world. Zeus held absolute power, but absolute power never once let him feel truly safe. Thor's story doesn't begin in the shadow of a throne. It begins in the middle of a battlefield. Yes, he was Odin's son, but he lived in the hearts of the people, not the god of the court, but the god of the farmer and the warrior. Defending Midgard from the Jotnar, the giants, was his duty. And he carried out that duty not through distant decree, but with his own two hands. But Thor's strength was also his greatest flaw, because it moved faster than his patience ever could. His anger was instant. His decisions ran on instinct more often than thought. He wasn't the god who planned, he was the god who struck. And that bluntness made him one of the most beloved figures in the entire pantheon, because Thor felt less like a god and more like a hero. Indra's story begins in the middle of a drought. According to legend, a cosmic dragon, Vritra, had trapped all the water on Earth. No rain, no rivers, only thirst and despair. Indra defeated Vritra with a weapon forged from the bones of the sage Dadichi, the Vajra. The waters broke free, life returned. This wasn't just a victory, it was the founding myth that made Indra king of the gods. But Indra's throne stood on a different foundation than the others. The sacrifices offered by mortals, yajnas, rituals, offerings of soma, Indra's power depended on being worshipped. And that dependence left him facing a constant threat. Because according to myth, sufficiently powerful austerity could turn even a mortal sage into a rival for Indra's throne, which made Indra a king afraid not only of outside enemies, but of the very virtue of his own worshippers. Now it's time to put these three kings face to face. Zeus's thunderbolt was forged in the fire of the Cyclopes, a single, decisive instrument of divine execution. Once thrown, it doesn't return. Its purpose is destruction. Thor's Mjolnir was different. Forged by dwarves, this hammer wasn't only used in battle. It blessed weddings. It sanctified rites. It was a symbol not just of destruction, but of protection and blessing. And Indra's Vajra? Born from a sage's sacrifice, its name means both thunderbolt and diamond. Unbreakable, but also a living memorial to a sacred offering. 3 weapons, 3 philosophies: destruction, protection, and sacrifice. Zeus ruled humanity from above. He issued commands, dispensed punishments, but rarely fought beside them. He was a monarch at a distance. Thor was the opposite. He came down to Midgard himself to fight the giants, standing with the people, for the people, not a king, a guardian. Indra's relationship ran on an entirely different logic. Exchange. Offer a sacrifice, receive the rain, feed the altar, feed his power. These 3 relationships were really mirrors of 3 different models of leadership: distant authority, shoulder-to-shoulder protection, and calculated reciprocity. None of them were perfect, and maybe that's exactly why they're still being told. Zeus's pride trapped him in a permanent sense of threat. The bigger his power grew, the deeper his insecurity ran. Thor's anger was a flame that outran his wisdom. He struck before he thought, and paid for it after. And Indra's paranoia turned him into a king who couldn't even trust his own people. A god afraid of a hermit's silent power. Pride. Rage. Paranoia. 3 different names, 3 different skies, but the same human flaw, reflected 3 times over. In a marble temple by the Mediterranean, in a snowbound Norse forest, on an Indian plain waiting for the monsoon, 3 different peoples, 3 different languages, 3 different faces, but all of them searched for the same answer to the same question: why does the sky roar, and who stands behind that roar? Maybe the truth is this: what angered Zeus, what sent Thor to war, what haunted Indra with fear, was never really the gods at all. The one who feared the sky's roar, and the one who gave it a face, a name, a story, that was always the human being. The gods climbed into the sky, but the story always began down here, on the ground. So, what do you think? Which of these 3 kings would hold onto their throne the longest if they ruled today? Let's find out in the comments.